All right, we are now beginning another episode of the Lay Down podcast. I've lost track of what number we are at this
Pretty
point.
high.
Um, yeah, doing this for the first time in a couple of weeks. Lenny and I are just going to kind of talk about the games. We're going to get right into it. How you feeling, Lenny? Of course, I'm always joined by Lenny.
I'm doing pretty good. We just had a game yesterday. I'm feeling the most sore I think I've ever felt after a game, but we won, and that's all that matters. I'm just trying to chill out, watch some college football, just relax for the day. Got a
What
3 day.
game are you watching?
I don't remember what I was watching because I was just kind of like hopping around, but I think I
I
was.
turned on the Florida Tennessee game.
I think
That's
that's.
I think the best game.
I was watching the
As
Wake Forest game before.
yeah,
That game was crazy.
Clemson won with their offense, which is kind of surprising considering they're known for defense the last
That
couple
Wake
of
Forest
years.
quarterback had like 6 touchdowns for like 200 yards. I was like, it's like a Tua stat line.
I love how we are now considering Tua as like a benchmark of a good player.
Sure.
Um, how are you feeling about what are some matchups you think this week? Just quickly, like that you're just interested in.
Uh, I'm interested in the Russell Wilson and the Niners. I think that's kind of interesting because it's just like Russ going back to the team he's just historically been played good against. I don't know what the mindset's going to be for the team going in, considering how inconsistent's the best, like the most flattering way to
So
say.
let me ask you what your entire thought is like on the whole Trey Lance situation.
You want
Um,
you want my real opinion or want like funny opinion? Because
no,
I
no,
guess
no, just your real like
okay.
actual opinion. Do you think they should have been running him as much as they did, and how do you think it affects the team moving forward?
There's two like aspects you can look at it. Number one, it just kind of depends on what you value more. Like if because Shanahan obviously values winning as a team more in the moment than long term. Like as I think most coaches should. It's like we need to win this game. We can all we can do right now is focus on how we win this game, right? And
Yeah.
I think it's how most good coaches usually go about it. And his like reason for that was like, well, Trey Lance sucks at passing because he just does. I think he sees it more than anybody in the planet. He sees him on film. He's always at practice. I genuinely think he's just like, we're not going to be able to win games if we can't get Trey Lance. If we ask Trey Lance to throw, which is what I mean. You watch the Bears game. That's what happened. You watch the Seahawks game last year. That's what happened. And he's just like, let's run them. Like that. If we're gonna win the game, we got to run them. And it doesn't matter that it's the Seahawks. It's just That's just how our team's gonna operate, and that's how I think all coaches should. That's how most coaches should go. It's like we're playing against an NFL team, not just because it's the Seahawks. It's an NFL team. So maybe the play calling in that regard, like the other way to look at it is, well, he's your franchise quarterback. You probably should be like most fans are looking into the season like, okay, maybe we don't win this year, but this is all prep for next year. Like, so if you want to look at it from that angle, like this is supposed to be, let's get him reps and make sure he can get good at passing and prepare for the future. Then yes, I would say
Yeah,
he
I
shouldn't
feel
have.
that.
But I don't think Shanahan or any coach should be thinking like that. They need to be thinking, how do we win this season and how do we win each game individually? That's just for me, that's how coaches should operate. So when he decides to run him more, it makes sense to me. And I don't think he was necessarily wrong for it. But I think there's angles. If you want to look at it like through long-term investment, then yeah, it was a bad idea. If you want to think about a long-term investment, they got to win games. They just have to win
I'll
games.
say this though, like you and Mitch aren't, but the Niners media is really hard on Shanahan. Like I was listening to the questions. They were legitimately like trying to
Yes.
make him say that he messed up or something. They
Yeah.
kept asking him why he was running him so much. Um, so yeah, I mean, I think running QB draw or what they run? They didn't run draw. They ran power, I
Yeah.
think.
It was
It was like
quarterback. to the right.
Yeah, quarterback power. I don't think that that was a good call. Again, I'm not going to pretend I know more than Kyle Shanahan does because obviously
You're
I
allowed to
don't.
think that because it probably
But
wasn't a good call.
I don't think I do think that's a bit of a basic play call. But again, like I think the team is probably better with Garoppolo than they are with Lance anyway. So it doesn't really
Yes.
affect how I change the outlook on the team. If anything, it enhances it.
I think if you want to talk about the team for this season, they are better off for having Jimmy G right now. But does that mean for the future? I don't know because there was an opportunity for Lance to put it all together this year. Even though I was one of the people who said I didn't believe that was going to happen. There was still an opportunity nonetheless. There was still an angle with NFL reps. He was going to get a whole season in and just work out the kinks and whatever's going on. And by the year, he could have been on fire. I don't know. That's not going to happen anymore. Like it's just not going to happen. But for now, we have a quarterback who is going to run this offense and make sure we score at least like 20 points ish a game, which is good enough for this because this defense is just lights out. I don't know if you've watched it, but
Yeah,
they
no, they are one of
dominate.
the best in the league.
Even if it's the Seahawks and the Bears, I think they just if you watch them on film, they just look really nice. They just look really good.
I'm not high on Denver right now, man.
Oh
I'm just
yeah.
not. I think is there actually a scenario where Hackett comes out of this without getting fired?
I don't think so.
It's looking like no.
I think the expectations were so high, and I think the bar has been set so low now that it's like, dude, the one complaint for the Broncos in their organization and the everything online, social media, get a quarterback. All your problems are solved. And it's
They
like,
got
well,
one.
if that
Now
was
it's not in
how they
his
got a
prime.
quarterback, and now it's like, well, that means the coach is the problem. I mean, like if you're just that's how the or ownership's going to look at it. That's how we're going to look at it, and I think it's how we should look at it because frankly, they don't look well coached at all. I mean, the game time decisions have been bad. Let alone not even game time decisions. I don't necessarily like blaming coaches for game time decisions that much, but if you just watch them on film or just watch them in the game, they just don't look well coached. They just don't look like they know. It's hard to explain. You just kind of have
They're
to watch
not
it.
they're not
They don't look
being
like a
put in the best position to succeed.
yes, they're
Is
not
what I
putting it.
can.
Yeah, they have a ceiling based on their talent, and they have a
Like
floor based on their talent.
I
They're not
watched
close to the ceiling.
I watched Miami play. They look really well coached. Every
They do.
every every snap, they look like they know what they're doing, and that's been against two of the best coaches of this era. Denver doesn't look like that, and Denver's got top to bottom probably at least close to as good of a roster as Miami does. So that's unexciting. Like the Seattle game is. I'll give him a little bit of a pass on that. It was an emotional game for Wilson. It's not good that they lost, but they fumbled at the 1 yard line twice, which they've been terrible in the red zone, by the way. But I can
Yeah.
at least get it a little bit. The Houston game to score 16 points is an abomination. Like that
Dude.
shouldn't
Oh
happen.
my gosh. Do you see his stat line like halfway through the game or third quarter? Like he was 33% completion percentage, no
It was
touchdowns.
still 14 of 31 for the game. That's not good.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
7 yards in attempts, all right, but I mean they only had like 5 yards per play, which isn't great. They held Houston to 4 yards per play, but I don't know. I feel like Hackett could be doing a lot more right now. I also don't think Russell Wilson's what he was 2 3 years ago. I think that's pretty obvious to anyone that's watched him at least. He doesn't move as much anymore. He's not as good when he does move, and as a passer, he still isn't the best in terms of taking what the defense gives him. And I think that kind of showed in that Houston game.
I think that this is for the Seahawks, right? Like this is just kind of unrelated, but this is like they won the situation. Like
Yeah,
just think about it like this, right? They got the most out of Russ considering his contract situation. They got out of the contract situation before it got really bad, like it's about to. They got
right.
the most out of the two Super Bowl runs with that defense. even though like we can talk about the, we don't have to talk about the defense and like what happened after roster management, but they got Russ for his prime. They got Russ when he wasn't great, but they had a really good defense that they built around. And now they shoved both of them away, the defense and Russ, when they were starting to hilter and they didn't pay them. So I mean, I don't know. The Seahawks kind of came out of this like no one expected that, but they came out of
They
it.
they came out of it looking better than they did before, for
Yes.
sure. I still think they fumbled a major bag after that Super Bowl
Oh,
49
no,
game.
I
Like I
agree.
think they could have been a dynasty, but
It could have
whatever.
been
Like
worse. All I'm saying, could have been
they
worse.
look better now for it because Wilson doesn't appear to be the same player.
We
Um,
get a replacement for Pete Carroll too
I
soon.
like the Niners a lot in this matchup. I know Russell Wilson owns the Niners. The more I think of it, though, I don't like how the Broncos have played at all.
Yeah, they just don't look. I mean, yeah, like we've
Like,
been talking.
I think the Raiders are better than the Broncos.
I agree.
I
Even though
know the Broncos are better in the record books right now, but to me the Raiders have been the more impressive team.
uh, if you want, we can transition to the Raiders Titans game, or
Sure.
just off
Yeah.
that. I think the Raiders are a good example of what people think Hackett is or could have been. I guess
McDaniels looks a lot better than Hackett does.
people are giving people McDaniel's a lot of crap, which I would agree with. I think he deserves criticism for his game time management at the end of the game. But I think what he's not getting credit for is just the overall coaching of the team, not game time decisions, because that is a aspect of coaching. I think the overall, like the way they play, they look organized. Like I said in preseason, I saw it in preseason. Now I'm seeing it in game. They just look like it's a machine. They look like what they want. They have a goal of what they want to do in the game. They have a game plan. They want to execute it. They executed it against the Cardinals. It's just by the end of the game, a couple things didn't go their way. Like a lot of things didn't go their way, and they just kind of
Kyler
ended up.
Murray made a couple incredible 1 out of
Yes.
10 plays.
And the Raiders just fumbled the bag on a lot of opportunities. But anyway,
Literally.
oh man. And going into this game, I expect the Raiders to win, and I expect them to win. I hope that they win pretty. What's it called? Like
Convincingly.
convincingly, because I think the
What's
Titans.
the line? I think the
They're
line's -2 for the Raiders. I think
I
they should cover
cover.
that at
They should.
least.
I think the Titans are a decent team. Obviously, they were
I
the
don't.
last year. I think, but I think the Raiders match up well here because if they stop Derrick Henry from just if they just stop Derrick Henry in this offense, you've seen it. They can't do anything. They can't move the
And
ball.
their defense is bad too right
Yes,
now, at least because of all the
they've been
injuries.
very injured this year. They had the number one defense last year, or at least top five, top 10. It was somewhere around that area. Or not top. It was top five. But now they're coming in injured defense against this Raiders offense that's been cooking outside of Derek Carr. Generally, I have a whole take on Derek Carr, but I won't talk about it right now.
Go check out real quickly, cheap plug here. Go check out BLB versus Consensus on Mitch's Patreon or buy his YouTube membership because it's an awesome show. You should go check it out. We give more of our takes on some of these games there. So yeah, Lenny had a whole Derek Carr rant, which is pretty
Yeah, I
funny.
had a whole Derek Carr rant. I thought it was pretty. I thought I had a good conclusion. Anyway, I think the Titans are in a position to they're very vulnerable right now with what the Raiders can take advantage. Their passing game is going to make it easy for Carr to get completions downfield to move the ball. I don't think their run defense is going to be anything special. They'll be able to move the rock well enough. The Raiders don't have to score a lot of points, and they've shown to me that they can score. They can score a lot of points. I don't know. That's the way I got to put it. Like in layman's terms, I don't think the Titans are going to be able to put up a lot of points on our defense just because they can stop Derrick Henry and they don't really have anything outside of that to take advantage from the Raiders' perspective. And I think on offense for the Raiders, they're going to be able to move the ball against the Titans and score enough against a defense that's been really injured and in a position group like their secondary that's been really injured to take advantage of. And I think they're going to win. Cover probably.
Yeah, so I'm gonna get into some of these DVOA stats. And look, I don't think you should look at these stats too seriously until like week 6, because that's when they start looking a bit legit for the rest of the year.
Mm-hmm.
But
Volume.
just real quickly, all right. So the top 5 in DVOA right now, the Bills are at 80%, which is
Wow,
ridiculous. That's insane.
that is crazy.
Um, they're first by over 30%.
Wow.
Jacksonville's second, 48%. Then there's about a 14-point drop off. Then it's Baltimore at about 35%. KC 32%, Philly 32%, Tampa at 6 at 28%, and then another slight drop off to the Chargers at 24%, so on and so forth. But if we go to the bottom here, who have the worst teams?
Oh no.
Titans are the worst team at minus 44%, negative 44. Indy is minus 43%. So those have been the 2 worst teams in football, according to DVOA so far. Chicago's third at minus 37%.
Chicago.
And tied in 4th and 5th last are the Cardinals and the Rams, both at negative 32%. And I
The
kind of want to
Commanders
transition
surprised.
into that game a little bit. I want to talk about the Rams. Is this team bad?
No,
I think they might
no,
be.
no. I haven't.
I genuinely, I'm
Let's
not, I
let's see
don't
what
think,
you
I
think.
don't like this team. I don't like where this team is at right now. I don't.
That's fine. I mean, I don't like where they're at either, but I don't think they're bad. I don't think they'll be. I think they'll
Okay, are they bad? Like, not like they're gonna win 4 games, but like, are they bad in terms of
like average.
there's been a few like Super Bowl champions that have gone on to have like the most recent one was I think the 2013 Ravens,
How
who I
about
think after winning the Super Bowl went 7-9 or 8-8. The
they did?
Giants,
I
they
didn't know
did,
that.
yeah, they fell off after
Oh,
Ray Lewis retired. The
mm.
Giants in 2012 went from Super Bowl champions to missing the playoffs. There's been a couple others. The Bucks, I think, after winning the Super Bowl, had a pretty big drop off. But yeah, I is this Rams team bad in terms of like a defending Super Bowl champion? I mean, like, could they have that kind of season where they struggle to make the playoffs, and even potentially miss it? Because I think they've got the best coach in football. I think they've got a really good quarterback and a lot of really good players at the top of their roster. I think if they suffer even 2 or 3 injuries, they could be really screwed. Especially, they play a tough schedule, the first place schedule. They play the AFC West, which is
Bloodbath.
just not a good draw. I don't know. I'm concerned.
You're allowed to feel concerned. I'm concerned for their overall, how they're going to be overall, but I don't think I don't. I'm not going to jump the train too fast here.
Okay.
Uh, I'm at the point where I'm like willing to consider that they are. This is where I think they're at right now. They're going to make the playoffs. They'll probably win a wild card game, and they're going to get ounced in the divisional round. That's where I think this season is going for them. If it can go down from here, for my expectations, I wouldn't be that surprised. But here's why I'm not super concerned. The biggest problem I saw coming into this season was not that the talent wasn't good for the Rams, but that the sheer number of changes they made, considering they just went to the Super Bowl in February, like they didn't have a lot of time to adjust. All these other teams had
Combined with
like
complacency.
2 extra months to prepare in the offseason. They got that cut short. Obviously, like getting they didn't have a lot of time to prepare for all these new players and new everything. They had a lot of turnover at a lot of key positions, which I was talking about a lot. And I think when you have a coaching staff as good as with Sean McVay and their defensive coordinator, which I'm blanking right
Raheem
now.
Morris.
Yes, Raheem Morris. Those are one of the best coaching staffs in the league. They'll figure it out. They'll know. I think they're finding their identity right now because this is a different team than it was last year, which is weird to say because they just won the Super Bowl. Like you'd figured that they'd try to repeat, but it's different. It's a different build. They're not the same kind of team, and I just trust the coaching staff to get the talent together because the talent's there and the coaching's there. They just have to put it together, and I don't think they're there yet. And I think it was a little bit more sudden than anyone thought, and especially them.
Um, it's not as much that they're 1-1 because
No, I
I mean
agree.
the Bills are kind of a gorilla in the room right now that some teams can pounce on if they're a little weaker and having an off day and the other team's hot. But they look like right now pretty clearly the best team in football.
Yes.
It's the way they've lost. Like they didn't look like they were in the same league as the Bills. And against the Falcons, they looked sloppy. Like I watched that game. Even in the first half, they were playing pretty sloppy. They hit a couple explosive plays, but it wasn't like a methodical Rams offense that we saw in the playoffs last year. And in the second half, like they couldn't move the ball at all. Like I'll read out their drives in the second half offensively here against the Falcons. But that was a Falcons defense they got really shredded by the Saints in the second half that they just could not they couldn't kill them. They couldn't slit the throat, and it allowed the Falcons to come back in that game. So they got a touchdown drive in the first drive of the second half. But after that, they were 2 plays, 3 yards, interception, 13 plays, 78 yards, which is decent, but still not great. They got a field goal out of it. Then it was a blocked punt touchdown, 6 plays, 16 yards. Then it was a fumble, 3 plays, 15 yards. Then it was a safety, 4 plays, negative 23 yards. That's really bad.
Mm-hmm.
They had in that fourth quarter, negative 8 plus 16, 8, 86, 89. They had 164 plays or yards in 25, 31, 34, 30, and 38 plays. So that's what, like 4.2 yards per play. That's not good.
Yeah, that isn't.
So yeah, I don't know. I don't. I'm not a fan. I understand what you're saying. I think they'll probably make the playoffs. And they're still the Super Bowl champions, so like you can't say they're going to guaranteed lose to anyone. But I don't know. Again, it's so early. This team can get better. They have the talented coaches to do so. I do also think it benefits them that they are in the NFC, and I'll
It
kind of
does.
transition into the Packers Bucks game here. I think there's a case to be made. These are the top two in the NFC. I think they are the two favorites on in most places to win the conference. Are you convinced by either offense right now to be on a different level than everyone else, though?
Uh, like this week or generally, like by the end of the year, like just
Just
general.
right, like kind of projecting forward a bit, but I'm not a huge fan of either offense. Totally.
I don't think either are ever going to get to the point where you're just like, how do we beat their offense? I think for both teams, their strength has to be in their defense to go anywhere this year. Not that they have to, their offenses are going to be bad. It's more just like, know where your strengths are. You're better on defense, like not by like a huge amount, but it's still like a good amount. You know what I mean? Your defense is what's going to keep you in the game, not your offense. I would agree with the take that I don't think they're going to be world beaters. I don't think, especially with the receiving core right now with the Packers, they're going to be world beaters. I just think the Bucks, right, are going to have exploitable weaknesses. If there was going to be an offense, I think could be out of these two, definitely the Bucks. They
Yeah,
could
I agree with that.
turn it around if they can get some better O line play and just the receivers stay healthy. Yeah, it could be a really good group, but I'm not. They could be a top 10 offense. Either or could be top 10 by the end of the year, but elite is a little bit of a stretch for me right now.
I think Green Bay's is probably better right now. I think Tampa's is probably has more potential to be better down the road with some of the guys they're getting back. Is that fair?
Yeah, that is fair. I would agree with that.
But I look at the matchup as like whoever can hit 20 is probably in good shape. And I know that's weird to say because it's Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady, the two of the three best quarterbacks of the last 20 years. But it, like the Bucks defense specifically has just looked unbeatable so far.
Yes, the Bucks defense, for all the crap it got last year, it's turned around. It stepped up. They've just looked. They look like playmakers, dude. They got
Now,
playmakers.
granted, I will say I do think this will be the best offense that they've faced so far.
Yes, out of a 2-game sample size,
Yeah.
this is for sure the best game. I mean, they got to prepare for the former MVP, the back-to-back former MVP.
Back-to-back reigning MVP.
Yes, anytime you have to prepare for a quarterback that good, I think there's going to be definitely like, it's going to be a tough game in that.
And they've got the Chiefs next week too.
They do have the Chiefs next week. They're going to be tested.
As Texas Tech is going to tie the game 19-yard
What?
touchdown with Texas. Yeah, 31-31 with about 8 minutes left in the fourth.
Oh dang! All right.
But yeah, keep going, Lenny. Sorry for interrupting.
No, I was about done. That was all I had to say.
Um, yeah, how are you? Are you? I think we're both picking Tampa, right?
Yeah,
Um,
I'm definitely picking Tampa right now. Tampa is. I think I don't know. It's just this Aaron Rodgers stigma against Tom Brady and the Bucks. It's definitely like a big thing for
from
me.
2020.
It's not just 2020. I think in his career, he's like has a good record against him too. It's
He's
not
one
like
in three.
he's what?
Rogers is 1-3 against
Yeah.
Brady.
Uh, I think for the Bucks, their offense is going to be able to do enough, which is all they need considering how good this defense is. Like I said, they're not focused on scoring a lot of points. They're focused on scoring enough points. Your defense is your strength. Make sure that you get like I don't know 13 or you limit their offense to 10, 14 points. Your team only needs to score like I don't know 17 points to win this game. I don't think they need to score a lot right now, and I think that's why they're going to win. I think the Packers are just not going to be able to score a lot. Like it just
No.
comes. I think most of my analysis comes down to can they score against this defense? How they're playing with all those receivers out, they're going to be able to key in on the run game. They're going to be able to blitz a bunch against Rodgers, which when he gets a lead, got up on him, and when he gets pressured, we know he falters. So there's a lot of things right now, but I'm definitely picking the Bucks right now.
Yeah, I think if the way the Bucks offense does put up a decent number here is if the Packers offense is just consistently going three and out, three and out, three and out, three and out, and maybe the Bucks force a couple turnovers, give them some short fields. If the Bucks can get a lead, and I mean like any lead, like a 10 to 13 point lead early in the game, I think it's really hard because the Packers' run defense is still vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think Tampa's run defense is unbeatable either, going back to the end of last year, but I think they're better than Green Bay's is,
Yeah.
and their pass defense is better. So I don't know if the Bucks do like if they're stalling at midfield and they're not scoring though, and it is like a 3-0 game through a couple quarters. I do think that the Packers have a chance to stay in and win it because I do think they have a little bit in the run. If they're able to still use the running backs later into the game as a running threat, I think that benefits them because I think kind of the longer the game goes, it may actually benefit Green Bay in that they may be able to wear Tampa down a bit because they have the better run game. But if Tampa builds a lead, like again, 10, 14 point lead, going into halftime, going into the third and fourth quarters, and they're able to run the ball. That's what I think the keys to the game are. Whoever's able to run the ball better in this game, probably going to win it. And that's saying a lot, again, because it's Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady. You think points, 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 passing, 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 touchdowns, touchdowns, touchdowns. That's not how the game's most likely going to be played.
Yeah, I agree. I just agree. I don't know. No, like you're right. I said what I had to say. You said what he had to
I
say.
think we kind of have the same feeling on this game.
Yeah, it wouldn't like totally shock me if the Packers won though. Just like I wouldn't be like, oh my gosh, how did that happen? I'd be like,
No, I mean, they're both, what, like top 3, 4 teams in the NFC? Like,
yeah.
anything can happen. How do you feel about this Bills Miami game without Hyde now? Has it really changed? I'm still picking Buffalo. I think Miami may cover the -5, but I don't know.
I think it's like, I mean, of course, it's
It's
important
still at the end
to
of the
have
day a
their all
safety.
pro.
It's not like Josh Allen went out, right?
Yeah, no, like on offense, right? You still have Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis, Isaiah McKenzie. You still have Josh Allen. I don't
Exactly.
hard to. So what? How the Bills or the Miami won last week is was a little fluky. If we're gonna be honest, like it just was a little,
It was. No, it was.
like the. I mean, we're coming into a situation where another injured secondary, right? Like going into the game, but man, those receivers were wide open in that game by the end of the. I mean, like by the end, I mean they were just it was like crazy. There was like 10 yards in between. It was college open. It was college receiver. I was like ridiculously open. And not only that, but their O line did a really good job. And they just, Tua was kept clean most of the game. He didn't really have to, like, he wasn't under pressure in that way most of the game either. So, am I going to expect that with this defense, even when injured? No, this is going to be a harder defense for him to play. I think at least Von Miller is going to get what he gets, especially on the right side, on his blind side. That could cause something. I don't know, maybe a fumble. I don't know, but I just don't think this offensive line's been tested. I don't think that these receivers are going to get as wide open as they did last week. It's hard. I don't think I've ever seen a team like that, like just get so wide open like that. It was actually kind of ridiculous. I don't think it's repeatable, especially back-to-back weeks against the Buffalo Bills. Even if their all-star safeties out, even if Tre'Davious White has been out, we've seen this defense without Tre'Davious White. They're fine. They don't like they'll be great when you get them back, but like right now they're fine. I'm picking the Bills to win. I don't think that Tua is going to be able to beat Josh Allen in a shootout anyway, even if it gets to the point where they're scoring a bunch of points. I'm going to give my money to Josh Allen on that. So, yeah, that's why I'm picking the Bills.
Yeah, like last week in that fourth quarter especially, it looked like Tagovailoa and Waddle were back in 2019 with Alabama. It was that comical.
Yes.
And I think Tua is better than I think some people think he is. I don't think he's a bad quarterback. I think he's fine. He's probably in their system one of the more effective players at the position. But just for both guys to get that open again is just not going to happen.
No.
It's just they're due for even against even if the Dolphins were playing a worse secondary, it's probably not going to happen again because you just can't expect that to happen every week. Guys are going to have off games some days, and some players are going to play above their heads some weeks. I'm more worried about Miami's defense, though, because like last week against Baltimore, they got shredded, and they got a couple stops towards the end of the game. But really, it was the offense getting going on long drive after long drive that kind of got them back into that game, right? It wasn't really the defense. The defense had really little to do with that win. They looked good against New England, but I mean, do either of us think New England's offense is very good? I don't know. So
no.
I'm worried about the fact that Josh Allen, and they should have their full offensive cast with them. I'm worried that Allen and that offense may be able to put up a number here.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, can we just like remember that it's Josh Allen on the other sideline?
Exactly.
He's
like probably the best quarterback in the NFL right now.
He's playing like the best one right now. Even with his high interceptions against the Rams. I mean, like he just looked ridiculous. Even then it was like
one of the interceptions was completely not even his fault.
He's like Isaiah McKenzie's just like, here, have it, ball.
He's had like one bad play I've seen all year.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, look, and I know Miami fans are going to say we're hating and we're crazy for this. Like, I think Miami is a good team. I think I ranked them 7th in my Ultra 10 this week.
I had them like
I think they're probably a playoff team. If Miami goes out there, if the Bills don't cover, if Miami loses by less than 5, I'll gain some serious respect for them as a contender. But
no. If this
I've still got to see it again, I think.
This is the week, if I were to like really believe in this team, this is the week that it would be. Even if with the injuries, I would be like, damn, all right, I'll shut my mouth now.
All right, do you have a feeling on the Baltimore-New England game? Because Ronnie Stanley is out.
Yeah, I got a good vibe on this, I think, now. I mean, when we did BLV consensus, I was a little, I don't know about it. I think I got a better general vibe of how I feel about it. Lamar just went on a tear the last 2 weeks. I don't expect that to stop, even if it's a Belichick defense. I think Belichick's going to do a good job. I think this defense isn't going to just lay over, right? I don't think they're going to lay over. But, I mean, I don't know if you've watched Lamar Jackson, but he put like 15 pounds of muscle on, and they're not like running him.
Incredible.
They're not running him like they did in 2019 or even 2020. They're using him as a passer. And he's
been unstoppable.
No, he's doing just as good. And then whenever the play breaks down, he just rolls out and then he makes plays from like this is everything they said he wasn't going to be. I mean, it's just ridiculous how this guy keeps breaking narratives and he just keeps getting.
Why is he okay? Can I ask
I
you a
don't
question real
know.
quick? Why is Lamar Jackson questioned, but Justin Herbert isn't?
Because
What
one of
is what? Okay, what there is there any credible evidence that Justin Herbert has done more than Lamar Jackson at all?
I don't know. He has more passing
He
yards.
had a better rookie year. He did not have a better second year.
No.
He has not been having a better third year
Hasn't
so
even,
far,
he
at
has,
least.
he's not even made the playoffs yet. Lamar's won
No,
a playoff game. He's made the,
he's
he's
won. He literally
got
won
the first
unanimous
season, best record in
MVP.
the NFL. Oh my gosh.
And
Anyway,
he's been playing like you mentioned, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. I think the two the two guys I think I would put as my 1 and 2 in MVP is Lamar and Josh Allen right now.
yeah, I would agree. Those two have been on fire this year, going in.
Mahomes has as well.
Not Patch. Oh my God, Rashad Bateman. I almost called him Patrick Bateman.
Bateman's been unbelievable.
Yeah, no, he's been really good, and
Mark Andrews hasn't even done that much, and they're still lighting teams up.
yes. I had a feeling coming into this year, Rashad Bateman was going to be a pretty good player. Even in the draft, I thought he was a pretty good player. But even now, I'm like, dang, this guy is a player. He's a dog. And I just think it's going to be too much for this New England defense. I just think it's too many. It's just, I don't know. Lamar's just playing on another level right now. I don't think they have the pass rush outside of Matthew Judon to really shake things up in the pocket. I don't think they necessarily have the secondary to match up on Mark Andrews and Rashad Bateman right now. I mean, I think they'll do a pretty good job. Like I said, I don't think it's going to be like a blowout, but I think they're going to do enough. It'll be like 24 points for the Ravens, something like that. This offense has been going crazy. That's the compliment to the Patriots, if anything, in my opinion. I think offensively for the Patriots, they're obviously going to take advantage of the secondary or try. But from everything I've seen from this coaching staff, or at least offensively, I don't expect any easy throws for Mac Jones. It's going to be Mac Jones is going to have to play on another level to keep up with the Ravens right now.
He's
And
gonna have to play at least as good as Tua did last week.
at least, and Tua had wide open receivers and
Now
Clinton.
Tua, I don't want it to sound like we're not saying Tua wasn't very good last
He's
week.
putting into context. He had 6 touchdowns. Of course, he was good. Of course, he had like
But
40
like
yards.
Mac Jones is gonna have to play probably even better if they
Yeah,
want to win this game.
if they want to win this game, which I'm not. I love Mac Jones. I still love him. I wish he was on my team right now, but it's just like it's too much to ask of him. Like I know his like everyone knows his limits at this point, and this is his limits. I don't expect them to win this game. I got the Ravens winning. They'll probably cover. I wouldn't
It's
be.
-2.5.
They'll probably cover that.
And Tennessee's going to score a touchdown here. It is now 38 Tennessee, Florida 21, with about 8 minutes remaining. Looking like Tennessee is going to take that matchup and probably move into the top 10 after this week. But on this Ravens game, my counter to all that would be I'm not convinced the Patriots can't move the ball up and down the field. Like maybe it won't come in bunches the way Miami did, but I don't know why he couldn't be more consistent. I mean, I'm not convinced that the Ravens secondary right now, even if Humphrey and Peters do play, are going to be at full health. I think the Patriots can have some success in the inside passing game with their tight ends, with some of their slot receivers, and maybe they can hit an explosive player or two. They did last week against Pittsburgh. So I mean, I think the Ravens win. I'm not overly confident. I'm not as confident, I don't think, as you are. I think I took New England to lose like 31-34. I think it'll be a game like that where both teams are putting up points. The Ravens more in spurts, the Patriots more methodically. But the Ravens, just because of their explosiveness, they're able to overcome whatever, I guess, efficiency edges and schematical edges and matchup advantages the Patriots have.
Yeah.
That's just kind of how I see the game going. I don't
Yeah.
expect it to be that defensive, quite honestly. I think both offenses are going to be able to move the ball and move the ball well.
That's fair. I just, I think it's John Harbaugh and that coaching staff against Matt Patricia that is like my biggest thing right now. Like, who is the Patriots have played the Dolphins and
Miami and Pittsburgh. Yeah.
Mike Tomlin, obviously all-time great. He's not like a crazy schematic coach. The
Mike
Dolphins.
McDaniel is though. I'll say that.
Okay, I'm talking about defense right now.
No, yeah,
Like
you're right.
schematically, the Dolphins
That-
aren't a
no,
crazy defense, but I mean, this Ravens defense, schematically wise, is just I think it's just going to outclass Matt Patricia in like every way. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, ugh,
yeah.
that's hard. I mean, gee, that's hard to ask of any coach. Mike McDaniel did it last week, so Dolphins credit right there. Like he had a incredible game, one of the
He's
best.
been great for them so far. You must be loving this as a Niners fan, like
Yes.
to see him go out there, and it looks like they've got Kyle Shanahan on the sideline, genuinely with the way he's been calling these games.
I mean, I had a feeling going like with Mike McDaniel that he'd be fine. I didn't think he'd be this good initially. I didn't think it would be like, geez, this guy really knows how to use his weapons and know how to protect his quarterback. But yeah, I mean, he knew it. He figured it out. I thought it would take like a growing period, like the Raiders right now, where it's just a little bit like not 100% on page. But no, I mean, he's done crazy stuff, man. I mean, geez.
All right, are there any more matchups you kind of want to discuss here before we head out?
Hmm.
The
Maybe.
Bengals have to win this week, don't they? I know you guys talked about it. I
Oh,
really
okay.
didn't get to say my piece on it, but
Oh,
if they don't win this week, I'm done. Like I'm off.
there- since I talked a lot
It's
about it, you
like
can talk about whatever you have to feel about.
um I'll say this though, like you've been very critical of their offensive line.
Yes.
And
No.
rightfully so, they have been very bad. I think Joe Burrow deserves some criticism for that. He's holding onto the ball far too long. That was a problem that he had in last postseason. He said in the offseason he didn't really consider sacks to be on the quarterback, and he's wrong on that in most cases. Now, there are some cases where there's not much a quarterback can do, but in some of these cases, the offensive line is giving him a couple seconds at least, and he's just holding onto the ball, trying to make a play, and it's just not happening, and they're ended up getting a negative play because of a sack because he's holding on the ball too long.
Mhm.
I do think though, like week one, they played TJ Watt. Week two, they played Micah Parsons. Those are literally the two best pass rushers right now in the NFL. Like
They're like 1-2 right
I
now.
think we're going a little far with this. Like nobody else really has guys other than Aaron Donald, I guess, to that level, right? Like we're
Mhm.
literally talking about the best hybrid edge linebacker pass rusher I've seen since Lawrence Taylor, legitimately. And we're
No,
talking about
I have
the
the
best
exact
edge
same take. He plays exactly like the same kind of like way. He's a chess piece.
and we're talking about the best edge rusher in the NFL and who has been like for 3 years now. So
He literally just got the like sack record in
exactly.
14 games. Like, jeez.
Exactly. So the Jets, who do the Jets like? Carl Lawson's good.
They
He's
beat the
not
Browns
going to
and
dominate
like
like that.
a bunch of BS, like on onside kick and like in a fourth quarter.
Yeah, the Jets should have lost last week. Credit
Yes.
to them for winning. Joe Flacco, what a legend. But
He gets
anyway, I'm
critical.
expecting the Bengals to win, and I'm expecting them to cover. I think Joe Burrow gets it back together. I think their offensive line gets it a little more together, just because they're not having to face that type of resistance.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, I said this on the thing. I don't know if you were there, but they just look lost. Their O line. They
Yeah,
don't.
I remember you were saying it in the Discord too. Like it's not like you said last year they played better as a unit, but because they lacked so much talent, they were so bad. But this year it's the opposite. Like
It
they're
is.
fairly talented, but they're just not playing together at all. They look like they don't know each other. They're a group of
They
individuals
don't.
right
They
now.
look like they're a group of individuals. When there's a blitz scheme, they're letting one guy fill in or two guys fill in. There's a double team on a D
It looks
tackle.
like Lenny, legitimately, it looks like they all panic the second they see an extra guy or two
They
rush
do.
on.
No, it's apparent. Like even to you, someone who doesn't like like okay, I'm
I
not.
don't analyze offensive
Yeah,
lines
you
the way
don't
you do,
analyze
but
it
it's really obvious when you watch it.
yeah. I mean, Lil Collins just got worked too. Anyway, I don't know how he played against TJ Watt, but I'm assuming he didn't
It
play.
wasn't much better.
Yeah, I'm sure it wasn't. He's not playing in this game, so not like it's a big deal either way.
But you're
Anyway,
expecting them to look better this week, right?
yes, I don't think the Jets are like a creative defense in the way that they've both been played. I mean, like I said about the Cowboys, they showed so many crazy looking blitzes and so many like weird fronts at
Dan
them.
Quinn had a
It
really
just
good game
confused the
plan.
hell out of them. They were like, what do we do? Like they were like, what? They were like, They look like a college high school team going against like Bill Belichick in like 2002. um, yeah, it was. I don't expect that from the Jets. They're probably gonna throw like a 4-man rush, maybe throw an extra blitzer. That'll be easy in terms of communication. I think they'll be fine. The Bengals will probably win this game.
All right, you want to end it off there? I don't really see many other
Yeah,
matchups.
maybe Carson Wentz revenge game could be a little. We could just
I
touch
Yeah,
on that.
people have been saying that. I don't think that that's gonna happen. I think he may have a decent game. I think the Eagles are gonna put up a number. Like I was saying it on consensus. Washington is allowing 7.5 yards a carry, which is ridiculous.
Oh,
It's the
what?
worst mark in the league.
Wow, 7.5.
If you can't stop the run against the Eagles, you're just not gonna win. Period.
Yeah,
So and
7.5 yards. Oh my.
probably like I it may like get to the point where Washington scores 28, but the Eagles score 42, and then they don't end up covering. So
Hmm. Yeah, I don't really have a lot to say either. So I just thought I'd throw it up there. I think we're good.
all right. All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Laydown Podcast. A shorter one this week, but an interesting one, I think, nonetheless. All right, guys. Thank you for watching. Go check our social medias in the description. Leave a like on this video. Subscribe to this channel for more NFL content. And God bless.